Hey YouTube, in case you haven't noticed, I tend to make videos in pairs. I don't know why. Anyway, this video is more of a plug. I'm shilling for this book I got here in my hand. It's not going to be a full-blown review because I'm actually not done with it yet, which is a testament to how good I think this is that I'm willing to shill for this book when I haven't even finished it. Risking my non-existent credibility on what may be contained in the last third of this book. Anyway, the book is the Godless Constitution. And before y'all theists start exploding all over the place, it's not a book about atheism. It's a book about secularism, which is, excuse me, a completely separate issue. This book is somewhat unique in my experience. I mean, I've read a few books. I obviously haven't read every book. But in most of the books I've read, they haven't presented it in quite the same way as this book. It goes into, you know, the Founding Fathers, and it has a lot of quotes by them, and this and that and the other thing, but it also goes into the religious contemporaries of the time. You see, secularism is not something that necessarily has to stem from atheism. There are plenty of theist secularists, and there even were theist secularists back in the day when America was founded. In fact, by some people's standards, basically the guy that founded Rhode Island, who was super ultra mega staunch Christian, thought it was blasphemy to call any nation a Christian nation. He understood that long before Christ, leaders who weren't Christian, and long after, could do a good job, and that leaders who were Christian could do a bad job. He determined that, and others, but this guy is the most important one I'm discussing. I would tell you his name, but it eludes me at the moment, and I'm not about to look it up at this exact moment. Reading this book is the first time I've ever heard of him, so I'm not as familiar with his story. Basically, he decided that the qualities that make a good leader and the qualities that make a good Christian are not the same. They are not necessarily mutually exclusive, but they are not. One isn't a requirement for the other. So, and this is like a super ultra mega Puritan guy. I can't recall if he was Baptist or not. I can't recall off the top of my head. But he was definitely a evangelical fundamentalist Protestant, and he was also a very, very staunch secularist, as were just about all of our founding fathers. I mean, there was a couple of them that wanted to work in stuff. I'm not gonna lie and say they were all deists, because that's not the truth of the matter. The majority of them were Christian in one form or the other. Some were deists. Possibly one or two. Thomas Paine probably was an atheist. Thomas Jefferson, he would have been a deist by most standards, but most of the, most of the ideas he tended to expound on seem fairly atheist in this day and age. So, anyway, the book is The Godless Constitution. I recommend it to all people who are interested in reading about religion and government and how they affect each other, regardless of your religious stance, whether you're an atheist, a theist, a deist, if you're one of those crazy people that calls himself agnostic, even though it has nothing to do with theism or atheism, go for it. I mean, it doesn't attack religion, it doesn't necessarily vouch for atheism, or the other way around. It's very secular, so if the idea of keeping church and state separate really makes your blood boil, I still recommend you read it because you need to get your facts straight, but I mean, this might not be your cup of tea. Just saying. Anyway, Godless Constitution by Isaac Kramnik, that's Kramnick, and R. Lawrence Moore. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a little dry in places, a lot of quotes, a lot of document references. If I were to criticize anything about this book, it's that it doesn't have the traditional footnote citation system. It has a whole chapter, well, it's a couple pages, but it's a chapter in the back dedicated to the sources where it tells you all their sources. I don't like that because I like being able to refer specific points. But outside of that, excellent, excellent book thus far, and I've seen nothing thus far that indicates that will be anything else in the last 30, 40 pages or so. And it's a fairly slim book, so it's not going to be hard for you all to read. Highly recommend it. If I come across anything else that I really like, I'll recommend it as well. So anyway, have a good day, and hope everything is going well.